Hello, everybody, and welcome to Rise of the Podcast. I'm Jeremy.
I'm Kara.
I'm Brownie.
Yes, you are.
So we're setting a record tonight.
Are we?
This is the latest we've ever done a production in the time of day.
Oh, yeah, I guess. Do we want to say what time of day it is that we're doing this?
Sure.
I don't know. You can.
I don't even know what time it is.
It's 9:40.
Oh, my goodness. Whew.
Well, it didn't help. We had the snowstorm.
Yep.
That kind of pushed everything back. And then you were working on some stuff, so that pushed a little bit further back for the podcast, so we're good.
Yep.
And then we got here, and you guys had torn this place apart.
We destroyed stage one.
Yes.
So they took down my entire comic book wall. So I spent the past 4 hours putting it back up. It looks good though. Wait until you guys see it. It looks good.
I can't wait for you guys to actually be able to see it and check it out because it looks way better.
Oh my goodness. We should do a panel of the room so everybody can see it at some point. Obviously not now, but
finished the foam and the sound foam and finished doing some outlets and things that we wanted to put in. And so I wanted to talk about while I was doing that, I wanted to talk about some little bit of renovation fails maybe that we've all had in the past or electrical fails.
I've actually got one. Because of you.
You've got one?
Yeah.
I've got a couple of stories as well,
So I grew up and
You did?
I did. Oh my goodness. Growing up, I've done my fair share of electrical work. Now in the state of Minnesota, you can do your own electrical work. It's totally fine. You just need to have a licensed inspector come out and look at any work that you do.
Which it helps that your dad was the building inspector.
He was a building, not electrical.
Oh, yeah. Wait.
There's a difference. And a plumbing is different.
But in Minnesota, you can't do your own plumbing.
You can't do your own plumbing. So there you go. There you go. Useless knowledge that now is forever in your brain.
So move to Minnesota if you want to do your own plumbing.
So, putting in outlets and adding circuits and everything is just, it makes any project good. I mean, Hawthorne, one of the houses I used to live on,
we lived there. Thank you.
Yeah. No, I know. And
I heard Jeremy say,
he lived there before you moved in.
A long time before.
I lived there 2 years.
Yeah, and I lived there for 8.
It was a long time.
It was
you
a long
actually
time.
moved that house.
Yeah,
there.
he flatbed trucked it from.
You got pictures of it. We should post some pictures here in.
No, we want to make this easy to edit. We'll do. Go to the website in 6 months and do some pictures.
We'll talk about the website on another episode too at some point. It's the last piece of the puzzle. That's the website. But so I've done like a lot of rental work and a lot of like home remodeling and things like that. And people think I'm crazy because I will not shy away from wiring things hot. I'll wire them with the voltage still going there.
Since he's gotten married, it's been forced. You cannot wire this hot.
Well, she's around.
I'm going to come home and I'm going to find Jeremy fried on the ground.
That's not how it works.
Just think, is it Marv in Home Alone 2?
Yeah. Or even Home Alone 1, right? When he, they like overheat the door handle.
Well, he doesn't get electrocuted though.
That's true. Yep. It's the second one.
It's the second one. Yeah. Because of a home reno.
Yeah, in New York City, right?
Yep.
So I've done my fair share of work, and I like funny things have happened over the years. So because I wire stuff hot, so the very first time I wired an outlet ever, I thought I was really smart, and I was like pretty young actually, and I put on these big like rubber kitchen gloves that you use to clean under the sink, and just made sure I was really really careful and everything was fine. Then I was like, who needs rubber gloves? Get these things out of here. You don't need these things. And so I was working on an outlet, and you got the hot and you have the neutral. And so I had moved the hot off to the side, and then I was about to attach the neutral to the new outlet. And the little bit of spring left in the old hot. So as I'm holding onto the neutral, I looked at the hot, and I'm like, you little bugger. And I go to put it back, and I was still holding the hot. And right then and there, I was like, got the little shock. And that felt pretty good. I'm like, oh. So
woke
me up. It was a thing. So then, knowing that, I took that knowledge forward with me into the future. So when we were, young adolescent males, and one of my friends needed some help fixing some things electrical wise in their house, and so I got a group of my guy friends over there, and his name, one of the guys is, you remember Craig?
Yep.
Okay. So Craig came over, and like Dave and I were working on something, and Josh. and we're working on one, and we have an outlet hot, and the wire's sitting there. So I look at Josh, and Craig's standing right between us. So I grab the neutral.
I feel a dare coming on.
No, I grab the neutral. Josh grabs the hot, and we both grab Craig by the leg. And Craig was like, "Oh, jeez!" And he got shocked right through him. And then, so he's like, "What the hell, you guys are, jerks! You guys, I can't believe you did that, And so that one was pretty funny. And then, so that same night, what we would do is we would each hold like the hot and the neutral, and we'd like clap, and then the electricity would like push your hands apart, like it would, because it would be force behind it. So what?
And there is a reason women live longer than men. There is a reason.
Maybe this explains the Words Are Hard podcast.
Jeremy's just got like a soft boiled brain situation going on.
I mean, he is Neanderthal.
Yeah.
Well, that doesn't have anything to do with me getting electrocuted multiple times.
It explains the antics you pulled.
Yeah.
So do you remember the old? So in high school, I remember people would take gum wrappers, and they would fold them over and put them in the outlets and put them in GFIs and get the GFIs to trip. And I thought that was stupid, but then here I'm clapping, and whatever. But so there was that thing people did. And then you remember the lighter hack people used to do, the old cheap lighters? You could take the metal cover off, and then you could undo and keep winding up the lighter, so when you lit it, the flame was like this high.
Yeah. I've done that.
Oh my gosh.
That was
fun.
It is fun.
It's like if you're 17 years old and have 80 cents, that's the only thing you can do for entertainment.
That's what I guess.
At least our generation.
Or comment below and like tell us fun things that you used to do that would be on lines with that. I mean, have you ever like tripped a GFI with a fork, or
oh my gosh.
messed around with a lighter, or fireworks were a huge one.
Yeah, like holding bottle rockets and like lighting them and shooting them at each other.
Oh yeah. So we took a little wooden plane that you like comes in a kit. It's flat, and you take the wood and pop it out, and then you slide it's a little wooden plane. We'd put bottle rockets on the bottom of those, and then light them, and then throw them. And depending on where you put the wings, it would either go long or it would do loop-de-loops. And one of the ones I did, I threw, and then it actually had a little pilot that you put in the wood. Mm-hmm. And when the bottle rocket blew off, it blew the pilot out, and it looked like he ejected. So I was like, oh, this is sweet. It's like Steven Spielberg, It was like a young film. I just wasn't filming it at that point. But there's one time we let off a artillery firework, and we lit it, and then we dropped it in the tube that would launch it into the air. And we were right by the high school. We thought we were super cool because there was a football game going on, and the tube tipped over, and it shot it right into like in the middle of the road. And it went out. There's nobody was driving by, but it just went off at ground level, just sending the firework everywhere.
Can you imagine if a car had been going by?
It goes underneath it, and then it's right like Peter Bay.
Yeah.
I wouldn't be here. That's for sure. I'd be in jail right now.
For detonating a car. It'd be like the mayor's car or something.
Right.
So that's some of the fun things. But Carrie, you said you had an electric story.
I was gonna say, I don't know how funny it is. So Jeremy, at the kitchen in Hawthorne, Jeremy retiled the entire thing. Mm-hmm. And he did all the what's the stuff that goes between
grout?
Grout. He grouted the whole thing. This is how much I know about construction and whatnot. Anyway, he grouted the whole thing, and you had to go through afterwards, and you had to wipe everything off. And Jeremy insisted on, the covers were off the outlets. Yep. Wow, words are hard for me tonight. And
take a hit off the outlet over there. Cool. We'll find you a fork. You can plug it in, and you'll be good.
Anyway, so Jeremy refused to turn off the power to the kitchen, and so I'm sitting.
Water.
I got shocked like 3 times because of you. I kept saying, Jeremy, can you just please turn off the electricity? And he's like, no, it's fine. You're going to be fine. I shocked myself probably 3 times before I was like, I'm done. You can clean
You're
the
not
wall
supposed
yourself.
to wipe the outlets.
I didn't wipe the outlets, but water drips. And water conducts electricity.
Water with something in it conducts electricity. It has to have salt, or it has to have something
some sort of minerals. Yeah.
Some sort of minerals to conduct it.
We use cleaner.
Well, that probably did it. Like an ammonia, I would assume ammonia.
Well, I mean, the water out of the tap still has minerals and stuff like that, and fluoride.
So
all that.
Boom. Anyway, that was my.
So you're saying you could take a shower with distilled water, standing with a little bare electricity there, and you'd be fine.
Yeah, you'd probably be fine.
Well, I guess the oils from your body and stuff like that might mix with the thing, and then there'd be
right.
But
Yeah, people like water won't conduct electricity, just regular water. No, the internet's going to light me up on it.
Right?
I'm really positive that it won't. It's the stuff in the water. Like salt water is really conductive. Chris is going to fact check it.
Yeah, I'll double check right now. You guys continue.
Didn't you say something about an electric fence?
Okay, so not construction, but I mean, you had talked about electric. Anyway, okay, so I remember when I was younger, my grandpa owned a farm over in Aiken, and we'd go out there. He raised cows and stuff like that, and we would always, you always do the thing where you check the electric fence with with the grass, right? And
what would happen to the grass? I never grew up with this.
Nothing would really happen to the grass, but you'd get just the tiniest little bit of a, just because it's not super conductive.
Got it.
Anyway, so one time my brothers, they were like, "Oh yeah, Kara, the fence is off. You're fine. You can go through the fence without having to go through the gate, whatever." And so I go over there and I grab onto the fence, and all of a sudden it felt like somebody had taken a football and chucked it into the middle of my back.
Oh, damn.
It was horrible. I was like, what the heck? And I turned around just ready to freak out of my brothers because I obviously positive that they did something.
Right.
There was no ball laying around. There was nothing. It was the electricity. It was such a high voltage. It just went kaboosh right in my back.
Similar type of story. My dad, we were out at my grandparents' house, and we were at, I believe it was a relative. I think it was like some sort of aunt by way, like second aunt, whatever it was. It's somebody my mom was related to. We were over there helping them do some stuff, and they had electric fence for their cows.
Mm-hmm.
And something was happening, and they were doing something with a tractor in one of the pastures, and the tractor tipped over.
No.
My dad starts running to go and help him, and like the wire for the electric fence is really thin.
Yeah.
Right.
And he ran straight into the electric fence and like bounced off it. He hit it so hard and so fast, he didn't get shocked. He just went boing off of it.
Right, it makes sense.
He's lucky it wasn't barbed.
Yeah, like he didn't come into contact with it long enough for it to actually like zap him. But he was like, I just saw him running. All of a sudden, I saw him go woo, flying back. I'm like, what? And then it's like, oh, that's right, the fence is there because like the gate for it was like one section over and it was open, and like it was like you couldn't tell which part was the open part of the fence and what part was the.
Oh, right. Yep.
So yeah, it was like he was just off by 10 feet or 12 feet or whatever the space is.
So to play off of
that story?
Your dad missing the hole that the gate was actually in. It has nothing to do with electricity. But I had a friend in college, and we are for our choir show, our choir concert. Sorry, we met in the racquetball courts, and they've got the glass doors, they've got the glass walls, everything, and they kept them so clean that they had left one of the doors open. In the one we're meeting in, my roommate couldn't tell which one was the door and which one was the wall. And all of a sudden, everybody hears "gadonk," and we look over, and the look on her face was like what on earth? She totally missed the door and ran right into the glass wall.
That's so funny. Goodness. That's the thing. It's like, people are poor people. You see dogs do it, squirrels have done it or whatever. Birds do it all the time.
Oh yeah.
Then you get the imprint in the outline.
So the results are in on Jeremy saying that water doesn't conduct electricity.
And
this is from scifun.org.
Okay.
Pure water contains very few ions, so it does not conduct electricity very well. When table salt is dissolved in water, the solution conducts very well because the solution contains more ions.
Interesting. So it's the ions that conduct electricity.
Yeah. So like Jeremy was saying, if there's other stuff in there that adds more ions to the thing, there's more charge, you can conduct electricity better.
And I specifically said salt. See?
You did.
Jeremy knows one thing.
Yeah. You could say that I am bright.
Boom.
Oh.
Your head is. I love you.
Thank you. Okay, so other things like with the lighter and the gum wrappers, did anybody ever, please tell me you all have put your tongue in a 9-volt battery.
Oh, yeah.
My coworker, the young one who, different, like trying to get to know each other, never put his tongue in a 9-volt battery, ever. And why would you do that? I don't know a world where I haven't not thought about doing it. I don't know. It's a thing you did. You put it, if you have a 9-volt battery, you open the drawer, right? Smoke detector's going off, beep, 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 needs a new battery. And you check it, you grab a new one out of the drawer. You're like, oh, is this good? You check it. if you get a good little zing,
Yep.
it's good battery.
And like it doesn't hurt or anything.
No.
It just tingles.
It just tingles.
It's weird. It's an
No,
interesting
thanks.
sensation.
I've never done it, so no thanks.
And so
If you'll be sleeping one day and Jeremy's just gonna jab you with a 9-volt battery.
comment below if you want Kara to put her tongue on a 9-volt. We'll film it. We'll Facebook Live it.
Yeah. There
I
we
didn't
go.
agree to this.
Facebook Live. Well, you have to now.
You
You
have
said it
to.
on the internet.
Yeah.
It's law.
It's not bad. It's like a tingle.
Okay, well,
You're gonna be addicted to doing it. Kara's gonna become a 9-volt battery
I'll stack
junkie.
3 batteries and hold it on there the entire time.
Okay.
You need to build up confidence to do it for a second.
I don't trust Jeremy. So we
He's been electrocuted so many times.
he has. So
I've built up a tolerance.
Okay. We bought a shot collar
Oh,
for
that's
Oliver.
true. That's true.
And Jeremy's like, well, we can't turn this up until we know what it feels like ourselves.
For a dog.
For a
Shot
dog.
collar for a
And
dog.
so Jeremy starts at 1. It goes all the way up to 8.
8.
Starts at 1.
Oof.
Just a little bit of
Oof.
just a little something, something.
My hairs in my neck are standing back up thinking about this. I'll tell you, Kara will tell you
Jeremy
why.
went all the way to freaking 8. I swear he flew out of his chair. Like, I mean,
It feels like a snake bite, like a cobra leached out and just nailed you right where the 2 prongs were. It's strong and it will make your muscles contract. And it's the buildup too. Like it's not that bad. Like I obviously didn't suffer any permanent scarring or damage, but I definitely wouldn't do it on purpose again. Maybe for the
didn't you
internet.
get your mom?
That's it.
Didn't you? Okay, Jeremy's
so here's what we'll do.
diabolical.
We'll get the shot collar, set it to 8. For each time you touch the battery to your tongue, we'll zap Jeremy with the
Yes,
dog collar.
it's been said on the internet. Has to happen.
So Chris, you'll run the control.
Yep.
Give me all
Just
the
not
9
on my
volts.
neck. We'll do it on my arm or something or my leg. Oh. Oh man.
I do it like right here, so it's like
Yeah.
your leg kicks out.
It'll do
Right?
it.
Who needs the reflex test? You just need a shot collar. Just-
2 on there, Chris, is about a 9-volt battery. 2 or 3 is about like sticking your tongue in.
I don't think we ever put it past like 4 for Oliver.
No.
He's a stubborn boy. I love
And you got to
him.
get through all the hair and everything. 'Cause he's a golden retriever.
Yeah.
But he doesn't. We haven't used it in a long time.
Didn't you talk your mom into trying 8?
I don't think.
Or
I've
what
got,
did you
no,
get
David
her?
will definitely do 8. David's done 8, no problem.
That's David.
I
He's
think I got
made
my-
out of leather though.
Yeah,
so-
he is. Okay, so we have this little guy. Well, he's stuck underneath there.
What is it?
Do you
What?
know-
I don't
not
even
know
know.
what it
I don't
is?
even know.
No. What?
What are you doing with that underneath? Oh my goodness!
Oh.
That's where that went. That's where that went. So my friends were helping us do some work down here, and there were audiences last week for the
Yeah.
podcast. And so they were back there doing that while we were filming, and so they would grab each other by their weenus and like pinch their elbow skin. It's a weenus is your elbow skin.
Yep.
And so I see him back there go.
Should we demonstrate?
That thing is put that back under the couch where it came from, never to be seen again.
We should demonstrate for the audience.
No, you need to put your tongue in a 9-volt before you can do that thing.
Okay, here's-
that hurts more than getting shocked.
Yeah, like that's for like picking up objects that fall behind like counters and stuff.
It looks diabolical. I mean, just like
It's a claw. It's a claw. So I thought of something else that we did to poor David's brother back in the day. So I don't know.
Jacob or-
I like
okay.
electricity is fun to me. So disposable cameras were a thing.
Oh, I know exactly where this. Okay.
I don't.
And so when you hit the button on a camera, you can turn on the flash on a disposable camera. You hit the button on the front, and then a light will go boop and get red, and it's solid red. The flash is ready to go. And what it is there's a AA or a 9-volt battery in there, and there's a capacitor.
Mhm.
And if you touch the end of the capacitor, you'll get shocked. And there's a neutral and a hot that goes through the capacitor, and the voltage will carry, and it builds up the voltage in the capacitor. So it might be 9 volts, but it can like amp it up, or it'll store it in the capacitor. So you could take paper clips and attach one to the neutral and one to the hot on the capacitor on a disposable camera, turn the flash on, and touch somebody, and it was like a little taser. It's like a homemade
it's
taser.
legit, like will
It's-
knock you down.
And so we, of course, had to test it on somebody. So
Did
I
it-
got done making it. It sparks if you touch a piece of metal. Like it will, as you use it on metal, like if you touch a quarter or a screwdriver handle, the
It gets
leads,
like that burn.
the
yeah.
leads will burn down because they're being arc welded to whatever you touch. Like that's how powerful this little shock is. So we got done building our first
Holy
one. We're
cow.
like, we gotta use this thing. So David's little brother,
You build a deadly weapon. The first thing you got to do is like, we got to test this out.
we gotta use this thing. And no, inanimate objects aren't good enough. So being a little brother,
Yeah, that's the danger of being a younger sibling.
You're
Is
the
you get
youngest-
field tested out.
you get
Yeah,
field tested.
it's true.
So we didn't even tell him we were doing it because of course he wouldn't agree to it. So we literally knocked on the door and he was taking a nap. He gets up and he opens the door. He's super tired. And I just reached out and poked him right in the arm with it. He's like, oh, why did you do that? For the longest time, he had 2 little dots when we did it, and he might still have the dots. Might be permanent.
You should write him and ask, or have David.
Well, just ask
you.
David. I'll text David right now. So poor Jacob. We shocked him.
Just got
and-
like the worst thing too is like he just woke up, no
Right?
cares in the world, just getting into reality. He gets electrocuted.
Gosh. Well, I know Jeremy says he likes electricity. He was helping a friend wire his house the other day, about a month ago.
Whoops.
You should tell that story. Hurry up.
Okay, so somebody I know is wiring their house, and I've really do a good job when I'm hooking up circuits to a panel. So you've got 2. I'm just going to be technical now. You've got 2 buses, and when you put on circuit breakers, they alternate. So
The even odd, right?
Yep. And so the buses, if you put one here and one here, they'll actually grab from opposite buses. And the reason for that is if you do like a 30 amp breaker where it needs to pull off of 2, like a dryer is 220, not 110.
Mm-hmm.
If you pulled from the same bus terminal, it would only ever be 110 because you have 2 110s coming into your house. That's how electricity works in New America. You can take from either one and then you get 220. But you can't take from the same one and get 220.
Yeah, it's like having 2 taps.
Two taps of water.
You get twice the flow. You need to turn both on.
Exactly. Perfect. There you go. So those buses are in an insulated jacket in your service panel, and your service panel itself is metal. So you always ground the service panel. You have a grounding rod. You need 3 sources of ground, and you hook up.
Who thought it would be smart to make a service panel metal?
There's probably a reason for it.
I mean, if it was wood, it would start on fire.
well,
so if-
plastic.
Well,
Like,
they'd
It'd melt.
but
I
then-
think it needs to be robust enough to survive.
Well, things are like the buses are riveted to the metal, and then they're insulated in a plastic. So what's physically holding them in is metal, but then they're insulated with plastic. So that the robust is attaching the terminals to the panels that it's gonna not break.
Yeah.
Because if it ever broke,
Interesting.
your little things would fall apart, and then plastic gets brittle over time with exposed to heat. So if there's any type of voltage over time, the plastic would probably get brittle and heat, and just like they're metal for a reason.
What do they wrap electric cords in anyway? Like,
It hardens. Oh, that stuff gets hard. So
Yeah,
if you were
old
running new
electric-
wires, they're soft and malleable. If you let that sit for 10 years and went and do it, it'd be like trying to bend.
interesting.
Or even
credit
like old
card.
extension cords that get used forever. They just like
get hard
like
and
you bend it, all of a
crack
sudden you have the insulations cracking and we're hooking up a brand new circuit in the panel, and I was putting in a ground bar because there wasn't one there, and so the ground bar, it grounds the panel. That way, if something ever happens, the panel itself is never hot. Hot being it's got the potential to shock you. Mm-hmm.
So what could happen if you wire an outlet backwards? For example, this happened to my mom in an old house we were living in. The outlets were wired backwards, so the neutral was hot and the hot was neutral. So the refrigerator everything will work if you reverse the polarity, but the outside of the fridge is that metally plastic. That was now hot. And if you touched ground and touched the outside of the fridge, you'd get a shock. And what did our old house have? Radiators.
Oh.
So my mom's sitting there one day and she's leaning up against the radiator and she puts her hand on the refrigerator and totally got shocked because the polarity was wrong. So I pulled the fridge out, checked
Crazy.
the outlet, because you can get an electrical test, you test it, and it was like, yep, somebody wired the outlet
Was
backwards.
this the place right over there?
Yep, right over here. That was the house, yeah.
Wild.
And so, yeah, that's something that happens, right? Anyways, wow. Okay, this is my thing. It's why I'm bright, see?
Sparky
You
over
can
here.
stack wires. You can like put multiple grounds in one peg hole that when you screw the screw in to hold them tight, you can put like more than one in there. And so I had one in there, and I was bringing another circuit down, and I was using hooking the ground into the ground bar. And when I loosened the screw up, that wire was under tension. And like I told you, those buses are insulated. The ground wire popped loose, slid between the panel and the plastic installation, and hit the frickin' terminal for the main breaker. And I actually tripped the main breaker, and that's 100 amp service.
Dang.
So it's like you plug in too many
Right?
things into one outlet, you're tripping a 15 amp or 20 amp breaker. I tripped 100 amp. It made a ball, like a baseball size flash, is how big the flash was when that hit before it popped the breaker.
Dang.
So all the lights went out in the entire house. His wife's in the other room, and she's like, honey, and he goes, oh, we meant to do that. It was on purpose. We're just for safety. Just shut it off for safety. We'll have it right back. And I looked at him, so I pulled the wire back down, and then that was fine. But yeah, no,
He came home with black marks on his fingers.
Oh my goodness.
I was like,
collateral damage.
what did you do? You're not allowed to help him anymore.
No, it's fine. It's fine.
It's fine.
Oh my gosh.
But I just I have a long that was accident. And accidents happen. Normally if the wire had been there for a long time, it would have had a memory. It wouldn't be springing in under tension. But because I just put it in, as soon as I loosened the screw, it just let go of that tension in it. The wire just popped up.
If you had just put it there, why did you?
Because I was adding a second one. Because we only have so many spots to put stuff.
Interesting.
You only have so many spots. You limited amount of things.
Okay.
So is this a new place, or is this he's just redoing some wiring?
So he had knob and tube.
Oh, okay. So
Yeah.
he's upgrading to the modern day.
Yep, exactly.
Like is knob and tube even like legal nowadays?
It's grandfathered in. It's
Yeah, if it
yeah.
already exists, you're fine.
if you touch it, you got to fix it. So it's like if you
Gotcha.
put in a new circuit, you got to rip out all the knob and tube and put in all new stuff.
Okay.
But as long as you don't disturb the existing system, it's fine.
Gotcha.
Like in the old one, like you'd have to, if it blew, you'd have to take it out and put a brand new one in, like at least.
Yeah, the fuse.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So now with the
Like
breakers.
I've
just trip.
watched my fair share of HGTV, and I would they're like, oh, well, you got knob and tube. That's gonna be an extra 10 grand onto your bill.
No one wants to touch knob and tube because the wires were very poorly insulated, if not
Yeah.
insulated at all. And the
Well, it's basically a fire hazard waiting to happen, isn't it?
the insulation was ceramic posts that you nail every so often along 2x4s, and that holds the wire off the wood.
Mhm.
And it was definitely exposed where it would go through, and then it would, there'd be like a rubber grommet in there that it would like route through. But what does
Mhm.
rubber do? It dries out.
Yeah, it gets
and
brittle.
it crumbles away.
Yep.
And the other thing people don't realize is when you look inside a toaster, I don't know how often you do that, you see the little red wires heat up in there.
Mhm.
That's what happens if you overload the gauge of a wire.
Yep.
So if you have a 14 amps or a 14 gauge wire is rated for 15 amps. If you hook it up to a 20 or a 30 amp breaker, this breaker won't trip because it's not going to draw more than but here's the problem. So if you're blowing fuses, and this is the thing with fuses, this is the problem. Breakers are great because you'd have to physically uninstall the breaker and install a new one to overcharge your wires. So if you have a 15 amp circuit, you keep tripping it. The only way you could safely go to 20 amps is you'd have to switch all the wires and go to a 12 gauge wire. What people did in old houses and why there would be electrical fires, they'd have a 15 amp fuse installed. And the fuse is what would break the
Interesting.
circuit. So there's a little wire in there.
Mhm.
And when that wire has too much electricity go across it, there's a little bridge. So think of a wide road that narrows down to a bridge. That bridge can literally only handle 15 amps. If 15 or more amps go across that, it's too hot, it separates and breaks the connection. And sometimes they didn't break.
Interesting.
Mhm.
Sometimes it wouldn't break. It wasn't consistent enough. And so what would happen is you plug in a hairdryer, you plug in a vacuum, all of a sudden the fuse breaks. Somebody goes down, doesn't know about electricity. They unscrew a 15 amp, they put in a 20. And now what's happening is the wires in your walls look like the inside of your toaster. Because you can draw 20 amps across 15 amp wires, but they're going to heat up.
What do we have in our house?
It's all 20 amp.
It is.
Yeah.
Okay.
I
was gonna say whenever I
you're
turn,
in good hands with me.
Yeah.
I won't do it. And we have circuit breakers.
Well,
Let me put it to you that way.
Okay.
And the same theory that any like electric heater and stuff like that, the way that works, they just
It's the
have.
exact same thing.
Yeah, they just run a bunch of electricity through wire, and the wire heats up
Okay.
and generates.
That's
heat.
why they're not very efficient, because
Yeah, you're literally just.
you're taking a lot of electricity to just heat a wire up.
Yeah.
Speaking of electricity, I'm surprised Chris hasn't noticed. Look up.
Oh shit.
Oh, dang, that sucks. Well, that'll happen. It's been a long day. So you can't see it in the shot, but we have these overhead fluorescent lights that we prefer not to use because they look terrible. Hey, like you can see that it's a little bit darker in here now. I probably shouldn't even have this one on, to be completely honest. But
That's funny.
yeah, I mean, it is what it is.
It happens.
No, the only reason I thought about it was because I know, like, so why, when we, like, my little heater was on, like, the lights dimmed. And, like, when that was going, the lights dimmed. It's
a couple things. So, the outlets are in the run before the lights. That's the first thing. Usually, like,
Gotcha.
when I did Hawthorne, everything, the outlets were on one circuit and the lights would be on one circuit.
Yep.
They'd be on
Okay.
separate circuits.
So
they wouldn't be the same.
It's kind of like if all your plumbing is all, like, lined up, like at my parents' house. I think this is how it was. So if somebody was showering in the shower downstairs, which was right next to, like, all the water heater and everything, they would have more pressure than the one upstairs if you're going at the same time.
You'd be stealing it. And because they were on a well, they're using a pump to pump up. When you have a water tower, the water tower is at a higher point than every other thing that's...
So it's kind of the same thing. So, like, whatever is the first in line with electricity, that's what gets the most.
These lights won't dim.
Because they're such a low draw.
They're a low draw.
Right.
And the way that fluorescents work is that ballast is using electricity to excite the molecules
gas
in the tube. And so what happens is when you plug something in, if there's a ever so slight voltage drop, it affects how much electricity that... Fluorescent lights actually take a lot of juice.
Yep.
And so it affects how much electricity that they can excite those molecules. There's less excitement, so they don't light up enough. You really notice it with the fluorescent lights.
The fluorescent lights.
Jeremy knows a lot about lack of excitement.
I hope this is interesting for everybody. I like shocking people with homemade tasers and sticking forks in outlets. But.
Also, I have one story that I want to talk about, like home renovation things. So, like, my entire life, living in Cloquet, my parents bought the house that they still live in today in 1990, and it's still under construction.
That's the way it is.
I was saying, yeah.
So, and it's one of those things, like, nothing is ever square, nothing's ever level, right?
In old
do
construction,
the best, you just do the best you can. Like, it doesn't matter if you're the best carpenter in the world. You're never going to have a truly square corner.
Right.
Nothing's ever going to be, like, perfectly, like, laid out or whatever. So, like, you end up having to make, like, little cuts and allowances to make sure that stuff lines up right.
Yep.
So my dad
fix it in post, but in construction.
Exactly, like that's what molding is for.
Yep.
That's why outlets have covers that go over the outside of the thing. It's like because everything's always just a little bit wonky.
Yep.
Yeah.
So my dad had just finished insulating upstairs, and he is not a big fan of drywall, so we did. We did insulation, then like this like vapor plastic stuff over the top of it, and then it's plywood, and then it's tongue and groove.
Okay.
And so we hadn't gotten to the tongue and groove part, and then we have the plywood sections that are going in, and we needed to do something in a thing or whatever. Blah blah blah. Got to the point where we needed to cut a new section of plywood to put up on the wall.
Right.
So we measure it out, get all the dimensions. My dad writes it down on a little card, all the different orientation marks on it and stuff like that. So like we cut it, go to put it in, it doesn't fit. Like, what the heck? We measure the thing again, measure the thing. They're the exact right lengths. And when you're doing stuff with wood, you can only be so precise with wood.
Right.
Mm-hmm.
Like, it's like if you're going to like a 32nd of an inch, it's not going to make a difference. Like 16ths is about as precise as you could possibly get with lumber.
Right.
It's like craftspeople aside, it's like there's not a lot of tolerance there. And we're measuring it, and it's like it's dead on the exact length that we're getting every time, right? And then it's usually like my dad hands me the end of the tape measure, walks to the other side or whatever. I hold the thing up, whatever. Make sure you take the slop out of the thing at the end or whatever.
In the tape, yep.
And so we flipped sides. I stood on the other side, same thing. I held the thing and he measured it. It was a different length depending on which side you measured from. I'm not kidding.
Crazy.
If you measured it like north to south, it was like, let's say 29 and an eighth, right? You measure it the other way and it's 30 and a quarter. It was like it didn't, and like we did it multiple times, and it's just this one like Twilight Zone section of the house that if you measured it 2 different ways, the exact same thing was 2 different measurements.
Planes are flying by and their compasses are getting messed up. It's the Bermuda Triangle over your parents' house.
Yeah,
No, that's crazy.
Yeah, so we ended up cutting it to the second measurement and it fit perfect.
Crazy.
And it's just like it was just by exact same tape measure, exact same thing, measured the same way. It was just you from north to south instead of south to north.
Crazy.
That's
Just
crazy.
yeah, absolutely wild. But speaking of like planes getting their compasses confused, my dad likes to make sure stuff is secure when he's installing it.
Right.
So a normal person, like a 4x8 sheet of plywood, you might put, a dozen screws into it, right? My dad does a screw about every 4 inches. So there's so much metal in that house. If a magnetized truck drove by, I think it would rip our house off the foundation and it would go down the street. So like that house is rock solid, but it's just like, and if you ever need to get behind something, it's like, you better have 2 batteries charged up for your cordless drill.
Right.
That's so funny.
That's so funny.
But yeah, like I like to give my dad crap for that. So
I love that. It's like the old saying, like if you're putting up paneling, you've got screw it and glue it. So some people, they glue it and then they screw it, or nails or whatever. Or, liquid
Which we
nail.
wish we would have done in Hawthorne.
In the downstairs, we put up some paneling.
So yeah, we put up paneling, and because of how humid it gets, even with our dehumidifier going, the paneling that we put up in certain areas would warp.
oh,
And so downstairs, the walls would just be a little bit wavy. And I think we glued about half of them.
Mm-hmm.
And then the rest we just nailed up.
Well,
but-
we wanted to make it because we didn't know if we were going to use the space for it. So if you glue it, the sheetrock's pretty much going to be done when you go to pull them back off again. So we thought, well, we'll just tack them in place. And if we need to glue them down, we will. But we just never glued them down and then
Yeah.
sold the house to my dad.
his problem now.
Yep, his problem now.
But like you said that your parents have been in that house since 90,
Yep.
right? And it's not finished.
Yep.
That has been in my family. It's like my mom's biggest pet peeve. Like my dad will start projects and then like just leave them. My parents have been in the house they're in since 97. And yeah, there's just little projects that they don't finish. And it was the same with our last house. My mom said the only time projects ever actually get finished is if they need to sell it.
Yep. No, exactly.
And then it gets finished, and then the finished product goes on to somebody else. And it's like, come on. My poor mom. I feel bad for her.
Well, so like it's so close now too. It's like there's the bathroom upstairs. Okay, so really quick, brief history of the house. So the house initially, like I don't know if you've been to my parents' house, but you have. So the living room used to be a garage.
Yep.
It was an attached garage, got turned into a living
Really?
room, right? And because it was a garage, they decided they didn't need to like bother building it right. None of the studs went all the way up to the ceiling.
Oh, yeah.
And stuff like that. So like subsequently my dad's like, if I'd have known how bad it was, I would have just flattened the house and built a new one. Right.
Right.
But so like whenever you'd start a project, he'd have to take like 3 steps back, fix whatever the problem was, and then he could do the thing that he wanted to do. So and then it was a 1-level house.
Yeah.
So the entire second floor is brand new. My dad
And your
built all
bedroom was on
that.
the second floor, right?
Yep.
Yeah.
So so the second floor, so everything on the first floor is done. And then on the second floor, it started my dad like put my sister's bedroom, my bedroom in. And like I remember for years it was just studs in between the bedrooms. There's like no walls or anything.
Oh my gosh.
It was just like framed in or whatever,
Right.
and like you just dealt with it. Like there was not a door on my bedroom until I moved out.
Oh, yeah, you're right.
Oh.
So it was,
You'd never had the satisfaction of slamming your door or anything?
no, if I slammed a door in my house, I would have been destroyed.
If you slammed the door in
Really?
your house, it would have went
Yes.
because it's solid.
No, it was that you were not allowed to have that kind of attitude at my place.
Wow.
You could be angry, you could stomp around a little bit, but if you slammed a door, it was gonna get
All hell
real.
would come loose.
Yeah. So anyway, so my bedroom's done, my sister's my former bedroom, my sister's former bedroom, those are both done, and that was like one half of the upstairs. Then the other half, there's gonna be like a small bathroom, then the master bedroom.
Mm-hmm.
So the master bedroom currently is just where everything to finish the house lives.
Yep.
But
construction.
Sounds right.
It's like a junk room instead of a junk drawer.
Yeah, exactly. And then the bathroom is almost done, and we were gonna try and recruit you to sneak in and finish the wiring, so my sister could sneak in and finish doing the drywalling while
Right.
my parents are going to be
On vacation.
on vacation. So my sister and I are like watching over the house and everything. So we were like, oh yeah, we can sneak in and finish that up so that they don't need to like mess around with it or whatever. But like I don't know if the timeline's gonna work out. But
Right.
anyway, so that's like almost done. Like the plumbing's already done and everything. It's like it's usable, it's just not finished. And then once that's done, it's literally just finish a bedroom and then the house will be complete.
And then they'll sell it.
Yeah, well, that's one of the things too. It's like now it's just the two of them,
Right,
and they're
that's
retirement
exactly
age, and it's
it.
like they don't need a 3-bedroom, technically 4-bedroom house.
Right.
Yeah, that's where my parents are at too. 4-bedroom, 2-bath, 2 floors. It's like, they've talked about selling it and moving to something smaller. It's
Yeah, they just need like a 1-bedroom, 1-bath with an office, a living room, and a kitchen. That's
Right.
all they really like. Granted, they have a bunch of stuff, and it's like,
oh my gosh.
if my parents died in a tragic accident, it would take me until my parents' age to go through all this stuff.
Have you been to my parents' house?
I have not, but I imagine it's like everybody's parents' house is just
Okay.
like a museum.
My parents, think of a barn, but basically that's their garage.
Okay.
And it is packed with stuff. So if they died in a tragic accident, dear God, please no. But if
They just
anybody,
accidentally drop a can of gas in there and light it on fire.
right? Seriously. I think though, if anybody's parents just dropped dead, Jeremy would have it the worst.
Oh,
like
my
hands
goodness.
down, Jeremy would have it the worst.
Well, because his parents are collectors of items and properties.
Well, I was going
and
to say
items
his
and
dad
properties.
is the worst. He's got some things.
Yeah, he likes stuff. We'll leave it at that.
Well, I mean,
But
he's done well by it too.
Yeah,
so.
It's true.
it's that. I think it's that generation for sure.
Oh,
It's
it
just a
totally
thing, and the
is.
problem is, like you said, your dad's
We
super
love you
organized.
guys.
So you'll if you owned a home, Chris, and someone broke your window, your dad would be like, "Oh, I think I have a 32 by 40 window sitting at this location in the garage up next to the old bicycle or whatever." Blah, blah, blah.
I'm not kidding you. My dad can give me 3-dimensional coordinates for anything in his
That's
garage.
what I'm saying. And
I was looking for a specific like a screw or a bolt or something, and he's like, "So go over to the thing. It's gonna be 4 rows down,
Yep.
3 rows over. It's gonna be right in. It's gonna be behind some of this." And it's just like,
How do your dads know these things?
it
like,
blows my mind.
what now?
Or it's like I needed a piece of 2x4 that was like green treated for something, right?
Yeah.
And it's like, oh, my green treated 2x4 straps are gonna be. You have to go behind this thing, pull this out, then move the air conditioner, and then it's gonna be right back there.
Right.
The thing that drives me nuts is when I need something like that, and there's stuff you can't find anymore. Just weird stuff like a bracket for something or just a weird part. And then be like, my dad's like, I think I got something that'll work. And so he'll take something and he'll repurpose it and it'll fit the thing that I need. The thing is, it validates him holding on to it for 30 years. That's the thing that drives me nuts.
yeah.
It's like,
I was like, have we told the banjo story?
oh
on here
my
yet?
goodness. Oh, okay, we'll end with the banjo story.
The banjo story, okay.
So, and this is the way that it's been. So, Kara plays a lot of musical instruments, and I can play the uke, like a baritone uke. And so I was like, well, maybe I kind of want to learn the banjo. My dad goes, you want to learn the banjo? He's like, don't buy one. Don't buy one. I have a banjo.
Oh my
And so,
gosh.
same thing. He wasn't home, so I have a key to my dad's house, and he goes, go downstairs to my workbench. To the right of my workbench, I got the shelf. There's the banjo. It's all yours. And I said, is this thing in good condition? He's like, the only thing it might need is new strings. That'd be about it. But yes, it's in good condition. So first off, you know how big a banjo is, right?
Yeah.
That's a bit big, but yeah.
I mean, it's a big stringed instrument,
It
a big
is.
old drum on it.
Yeah, exactly. Yeah.
I go downstairs, I look, and I triple take to this thing. I'm like, that's the banjo. It's about this big. The drum
It's
on
like
the
a
banjo
child's banjo.
is about this big. There's no strings, 3 tuning knobs.
It looked like he found it at the bottom of a river.
Yeah, it looked like a former boat ink. It had green mold on it, like
so
green,
bad.
treated wood. It was that like stained that color at one point. It wasn't even in the realm of refurbishable.
No, it would have
Not
been
even
like
close.
hang it on the wall for some weird decoration, I guess.
Yeah, throw it up at the anchor or something.
Maybe.
Exactly. They
Maybe.
might not
Would
want
be a
it.
health hazard. It
Well,
was
eating at the
ridiculous.
anchor is a health hazard.
But it's good.
It's delicious and it's cheap, but you know that
Yeah.
there's no corners there. Everything's
Do you
been
guys
Every
wanna
day
hear-
you
do you guys-
walk in and you pray, dear God, don't let me get food poisoning.
You guys want to hear a gross story, and we'll end it on that? It's a food prep story.
Okay, sure.
Oh no.
I went out to eat. I'm not going to say where. I'm not going to say who. I'm not going to say anything. The person preparing my food had long fake nails and they were poking through the rubber gloves.
Oh, yuck.
Ew.
And I didn't like say anything, but they were clearly like.
Did you eat the food?
I did, but
Okay.
And he lived to tell the tale.
He
but
did.
it did gross me out. I was like, oh no.
Well, yeah.
And
Okay,
it-
so think about this. So in the dental world, you are not allowed to have fake nails. You can paint your nails, but you cannot have fake nails because with fake nails, you've got the little ridge where your fingernail attaches to the fake
Right.
nail. You can't get that clean.
Mhm.
And then it's painted over. And if it's not painted over, you still can like see under your nails to see if they're clean. And so there is so much nasty like fecal bacteria and all sorts of grossness just hiding out underneath those fingernails.
Well, and so
So-
you wear like a latex or like a whatever, like latex free, but it's like a nitrile glove.
Nitrile.
Nitrile.
glove, yeah.
Mhm.
But it's a you know the glove, right?
Yep.
Food prep have those clear, thin nitrile gloves.
Yep.
That are
they're
just
not
like-
they're not even stretchy. They're just
They're
like
not
the
even
size of the arm.
stretchy.
They just
Oh,
go
at
right
Wendy's
in,
we
yeah.
had actual like rubbery.
And
Oh,
so
Wendy's throwing money around. out
yeah,
there.
they got good gloves there, you know.
No wonder I'm
But yeah,
business.
the fingernails were just like, not all of them, but there was one or two, and I'm like, that nail is clear, like it was clearly
Ugh.
through
That's
the
disgusting.
thing, and I was like, oh,
I'm thoroughly unsubscribing to all of that.
Oh
was
yeah,
pretty bad,
I'd
but-
have been like, can somebody else make my food, please? Do you not see her nails poking through?
food industry
Ugh.
sucks. It's a job
Yeah.
that everybody should have to understand it.
Okay,
but
I-
a little
11
extra work to
years.
just
11 stinking years.
have good, you know.
Well, from when I was 15 to when I was 19, I worked food service related jobs. So I put in a little bit of time.
Yeah.
You were telling me, I've heard you were talking about cleaning the pop nozzles. How
Yeah.
nasty those would get if people
They
didn't clean
would
them
get
properly.
nasty.
Well, so when I worked at the gas station, every night I would clean them.
Yeah, we did
A,
at
because I
Wendy's,
drink
too.
soda and I want them to be clean. But B, it's like the amount of like sludge it accrues in just a day.
Mm-hmm.
And there are places where they don't get cleaned like ever. And
Well,
it's
I've-
just
Yeah.
disgusting.
Wendy's, we cleaned them every single night.
I've read
Yep.
stories on Reddit where people will get hired and it'd be like a new person and be like, oh, how do you clean the soda nozzles? Like, what's your procedure? And they go, clean the soda nozzles. And they'll tell stories about, they'll take the person that just got hired will take apart the nozzle and it'll just nasty.
Oh.
I don't
Well,
know.
yeah, it's
I've-
like, 'cause, like, and like, so the thing is, like, a lot of people like drinking colas and stuff, right? And you
Right.
don't see, like, there's like literally like little like flecks of stuff that starts accumulating
Right.
inside of these nozzles. So it's like, and it's really obvious, like, always, this would be my advice to people: go and find like a Sprite or a Sierra Mist or something like that, and hit that and check inside of it. If you see black floating things, just don't drink anything out of it.
Yeah.
right.
You-
Bottled
Or,
for me
or
only.
if you really want to, if they're not that hard, it's a would that be a clockwise quarter twist? You pull it down, pull the thing out,
Yep.
rinse it in the thing, pop it
It-
back in, close.
Push up, counterclockwise, pull down.
Yeah.
Would take it off. Yeah. And then push up clockwise. lay
Yeah,
it
so
down.
yeah, just go to you go rinse it out, put it back in, and then you're good to go.
Exactly. We'd always put it through like 3 different cleaners and then we'd let them actually dry out overnight. And
Yeah, well, because like so, and I think it's mandatory now in food service places. You have to have the 3-tub sink where you have like the wash,
Yep.
the sanitize, and the rinse.
yep.
So yeah, it's like you go do that whole thing, and like we, I think once a week we had to lubricate the there's food safe lubricant that you put on the washer, not
we
washers,
have,
the gaskets that
Yeah.
go in there.
We have a knife that can be given out and be used for food prep in a survival situation. And we have a food safe lubricant that's also anti-rust.
Oh, cool.
So it's like you put it on the knife blade and it protects it from being rusty because you don't want to get tetanus or whatever if you cut into it, something you might use for cooking,
Yep.
and for food prep. But yeah, so we have to check the level on that and put it on there. And yeah, it's a food safe like grease.
Yeah.
That's,
Interesting.
It seems so counterintuitive. Like we had a icy machine,
Mhm.
and they have these big, thick rubber gaskets because the back of it is open, where like there's like a mixing auger that goes through.
Yep.
And so all that has to be sealed. Those things were a nightmare because you have to get all of that off of there.
Right.
Mhm.
And it's like water resistant, all that too. So it's like you have to go through and you have to manually like. So
Clean
like
the
imagine like the texture of like a refrigerator door
Yeah.
closing thing. It's like that. There's like 3 or 4 like waves in there, so you have to like mash your hands in there and like get it spread apart and get it all cleaned out. And you could tell when people had it because it'd just be like black,
Yeah.
Ew.
and you have to clean all that out. So it's like it's that's like ices are delicious, but I guarantee you there's just lazy 14-year-olds or I guess
Right.
how old do you work at a gas
15,
station? 15-year-olds
Ew.
that just aren't cleaning it right. but it just builds your immune system probably.
You know what else builds your immune system?
Liking this video if you've made it this far into it. Also, if you want the super boost your immune system, you should probably consider subscribing and ringing the notification bell.
Yeah.
Doing that, you'll be notified every time we upload a video, and whenever we go live, we're planning on doing some more live stuff coming up. But if you want the ultimate booster shot, if you want to be prevented from dying of any type of cancer, this statement has not been validated by the FDA or any health agencies. Comment down below any type of crazy electrical mishaps you've had, any weird stories of construction fails gone wrong.
Yep.
Or if you've worked at a food place and just found like really gross nozzles. Thank you guys so much for watching, and of course,
May the force be with you.